Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. And this is the Sports Page with Bob Case. And today we have a very special guest. This is the first time, Bob, that we've ever had somebody that I was actually a teammate with. So I'm going to get reamed and ridiculed, and all the bad things that I've done in my career will be summarized here probably in the next hour or so. But we have the great honor, a terrific Trojan, an excellent linebacker at the National Football League level for 19 years. He's not in the Hall of Fame. And Bob, we're going to talk about this a little bit. We're going to talk about his brother is. He's got other family that might be in there pretty soon. But what more could a man do? He was in Red Ride 88. He was in the Drive. He was in the Fumble. He was in some great games. And Cleveland fans and those in Dayton and Akron and the surrounding area, Canton, of course, will all remember Clay Matthews, who wore number 57 for 16 of the 19 years that he was in the National Football League. And Bob, thank you for inviting Clay on. Was a special guest, and we've been friends for a while. We get to talk every now and then and forget a lot of the stories that were important to us back when we played. But I can't thank you enough, Bob, for inviting Clay and asking him to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming, Clay, and it's an honor to be here with both of you. And there's a lot of football, NFL in this with you two guys. And all I can say is, Clay, it's just an honor to have you on here. And I could probably talk for the whole show just about all the things he's accomplished, but I'm going to try to be very brief. Clay Matthews, I saw play, I think once when he was at Arcadia. I went to John Muir High School, but we used to go to some of the Arcadia. I knew Bill Sinesoth and a lot of the guys at Arcadia, but we went when he was younger there. And then he moved back to Chicago. But then I saw him. I'm a lifetime SC fan. I grew up watching John Arnett and all the Trojans for years and years, and all the John McKay teams. And Clay is definitely in that 2 or 3 best linebackers in the history of SC, the way I saw it. And he played there 4 years and was in some unbelievable games. And what I want to say, though, is I joked earlier that I would like to have a job selling his DNA, because I have never, in the history of the NFL, I don't know of another family thing like this where I saw his father. I'm old enough where as a little kid I saw, Frankie Albert and Y.A. Tittle and Clay Matthews Sr. and Joe the Jet Perry and Hugh McElhenney. I mean, they had some unbelievable teams. So then I got to see his son play, Clay, and I got to see his brother, Bruce, play. And how about one of the big, I was there the night they put Bruce and Clay in the SC Hall of Fame, and I got a great picture, which I cherish, of them with their red things around when they went in the Hall of Fame, and I'm in the middle of the two of them. And it was just a great evening to see both of them inducted into the USC Hall of Fame the same night. And, it's just they've had a tremendous, and then I got to see his son play. Now think about this. His son played. Well, I never have ever seen a college team with the linebacker, the defense that team had. They had Ray Maluga, they had Brian Cushing, they had the Kookie, whatever his name is, that played for the Raiders. Yeah, and they had Clay, and Clay was a walk-on. And I saw Clay play at Agoura High School. He was good, okay, but he wasn't great yet until he got to SC. Now imagine a walk-on turning into this guy. It was like Batman, he came out of nowhere and just was kicking ass, man. I mean, kicking ass. I used to love to go to the practice. You know what the players would tell me, Pete Carroll's players would tell me, Lendell White, they say, we can't wait for Saturday, because those practices with those guys kicking the crap out of them, with all those, Clay Matthews and Ray Maluga. And I saw Ray Maluga hit Patrick Turner, a wide receiver, so hard in practice that he couldn't, he was numb in his left arm for a year and a half. Patrick Turner, who played in the NFL. But I mean, those guys, Pete Carroll's practices, Hal Betzel said to me one time, Pete, why do you let the defense just beat the crap out of the offense? He said, and Pete smiled and said, I'm a defensive coach. But I mean, those were some unbelievable, they were fun. Now you go there, they don't even hit each other. You know what I mean? They don't even have the reps and everything. But anyway, Clay, I can't wait to hear from you, because and I'm going to tell you another thing about Clay. I've been here. He coached with my friend Vic Lepisto. They coached kids and stuff. And I've never heard a negative word about Clay. Never. He's a stand-up citizen, happily married and great family, and I've never saw him ever big-league anybody or act like he's always been down to earth and humble and nice to the fans, and it's just an honor to know him. You're just a class guy, Clay. I mean, I wish there were more like you. I really do. But
the games where we got way behind, I may not have been the best character around.
Oh, you've been great. You were great.
All those things were my pleasure, though. The USC, actually, I had been out here, and USC was winning all the time. And for some reason, I didn't like them that much because they won too much. Then I went back to my dad got promoted. We moved to Chicago, and it was going to be for my senior year in school, and I had been recruited off of my junior year, so I was starting to get recruited by the Pac-8. I go to my dad. I go, Dad, I want to be like you. I want to play in major college football, go to the NFL, play a little bit, and then I don't know if I could do what he did after that. But I went and talked to my college coach, my high school coach, because I was so worried if I moved to Chicago, the Big Ten wouldn't know who I was in 1 year. So I go to my high school coach here, and he says, well, you can stay with me. So I go to my dad and I said, Dad, I can stay here. I want to get a scholarship. They don't know me in the Midwest. He goes, son, I tell you what, you're almost a man now. You make the decision. So I gave it 2 or 3 days, and I come in and I go, Dad, I've made the decision. He goes, well, what do you got? And I go, well, here's the deal. I'll stay out here. As soon as football's over, I'll come back to Chicago. My dad looked at me and goes, son, you've made the wrong decision. So it took about 2 seconds, and I go, well, I guess I'm going to Chicago. And it worked out great. I went back there, ended up playing on an undefeated team, great teammates, great school. I still have people I stay in touch with, even from one year there. And, now you're going to ask, okay, you're in Chicago. How do you get back to SC? Okay, so I'm starting to get recruited by the Big Ten. And my dad, after he had played in the NFL, he then had gone into business. And so we had moved a lot because he wanted to move up the ladder fast, which he did. So my mom goes to my dad and says, Clay, he was Clay Sr., I love you. I want to stay married to you, but I'm going back to California. And what had happened was we had had a beautiful summer in Chicago, a delightful fall, and then the bad winter hit. And she said, I'm out of here. So she left, took all my brothers and sisters, and my dad says to me, son, I need somebody to stay at the house. Mom and your brothers and sisters are going back to California. I'll be going back and forth. So you stay at the house. So the North Shore of Chicago has some big old homes on it. If you've seen, what were the 2 movies? Home Alone and Risky Business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a big house built in like 1910 by myself. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I can do what I want. Kind of like the movie Risky Business, which it never worked out. But so I'm back there, and I'll never forget, I'm used to having 7 people in the house, mom, dad, 5 kids. And I'm in the house starts creaking and moaning. I nearly went nuts. I thought there were people in the house, but it all worked out. I stayed back there. And now you're going to ask, well, how'd you get to SC? Okay. So Wayne Fonts had a brother, Lenny Fonts. Wayne and Lenny had gone to school at Michigan State. So Lenny was still at Michigan State. Wayne was at USC. So Lenny starts recruiting me and he goes, hey, Clay, we heard some good things about you. We'd like you to come up and have a visit. And I go, Coach, I love Michigan State. I didn't know him that well, but, you know, I had asked my dad, how do you say no to somebody? And I said, I'm going out to California. My family's already moved out, so I'm going out there. And he goes, oh, you got to come take a look at Michigan State. And talked to him and said, you know, my family's out there. I'm going to California. So he calls his brother, Wayne, who became the head coach of the Detroit Lions later on, but he was the defensive backfield coach. So Wayne ends up, Lenny tells him, hey, we got a guy we like. You might want to take a look at him. So Wayne calls me and says, hey, why don't you come on out? And I'm sitting there, oh, you know, USC. And he goes, he said three things that stuck with me all these years. He goes, Clay, look, here's the deal. You come out here. Number one, you'll go to 4 Rose Bowls. I go, okay, that sounds good. You know, number two, he goes, you'll marry a cheerleader. And then he goes, and number three, you'll get a job in the movies when your career's over. So that was a pretty good speech. Came out. I'll give you a story about John McKay. So, you know, they walk me around campus. Everything's good. And they go, okay, you're going to go in and talk to Coach McKay now. And, you know, I'm talking to all these coaches and they treat each other the same. The moment John McKay's name was mentioned by these guys, you could tell he was the man there, you know. And when he went in, the guy who took me in, he seemed like he was more nervous than I was. So Coach McKay goes, Clay, look, I don't really believe in selling, you know, recruiting a guy. I believe in letting the school and the players sell themselves. And he goes, do you have any questions for the old coach? And I go, no, Coach, everything looks good. And that was the extent of of him recruiting me. I went home and I go, wow, SC, that's really good. And that's where I wanted to go and told him I was going there.
Well, Clay, now, you were born in Palo Alto, but you also had a trip to Stanford, right?
Yeah. Actually, I had grown up and was born in the old Stanford Hospital, which they tore down. And actually, at that time, Jim Plunkett had just taken them to 2 Rose Bowls. So they were, you know, they were doing really well. You know, even beating SC. So I was thinking, I want to go to Stanford. So Stanford is recruiting me, and that's where I want to go. It was the best academics, best athletics at the time. So they go, okay, when can you come out? So I was playing basketball, and yeah, I was a multi-sport athlete, but I was playing basketball, and I'm thinking, you know, I can't go out. And they go, well, when can you come? And I go, well, I don't need to come. I'm ready to sign for a scholarship. And they go, no, that's not how it works. So they say, okay, look, can you come out December 26th through the 28th, say? And I go, yeah, that's fine. So they fly me out. I land, it's raining. Okay. In Northern California, when it rains, it just keeps raining on and on. So the whole time I was there, it was raining. There were no students there. There were only 2 or 3 coaches. So after 3 days of being there, I fly back to Chicago and I go, gosh, that was bad. That wasn't a good place. You know, you're 17, 18 years old. Even though a lot of the facts made sense, the heart didn't really feel it. So when this SC thing happened after that, it it made it good. And that was it. That's how I got to SC.
Wow.
Well, I got a picture here of New Trier High School, right? This is and a funny thing that many people don't know. You're on a good team, right? You're playing for a state championship.
Oh yeah, we were undefeated and played against a ex-teammate of yours and mine for the state championship.
So one of the few things, Bob, Mike Ken, who ends up going to Michigan.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Played against Clay in the semifinal game, right? When it was raining, someone missed a field goal, there was a penalty, there was something, and Mike to this day is still really mad that they lost that game, right, Clay?
No, it was Rose Bowl. The weather's always good.
No, you played him in high school. You played in a championship game in high school.
Yeah.
Then you played against Mike in Michigan when you were at SC in a Rose Bowl. And then you played against him on numerous occasions in the National Football League. And then you were teammates with the guy. There were four different connections there in, tie the dots together. It was really very interesting.
It was an interesting game. We were playing for the state championship. We were the two best teams, both undefeated. So we go and kick a field goal. So we're up 3-0. That had been the extent of the scoring. They got down in good position to kick a field goal. They kicked a field goal. It was good. But the kicker, his mouthpiece was hanging out of his helmet. He did not have it in his mouth. And therefore, they threw the flag, backed it up 15, and he missed the field goal from then on.
Are you kidding me? That is amazing.
The rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Hey, Harper, I got to tell you something. I'm sitting here, and I think of Anthony Davis, what he used to always say to me, NFL, not for long. He said it stood for not for long. And I'm sitting here, and there's two guys, how about 30 years? Two guys. So AD is wrong. NFL, not for long. There's 30 years right here on the screen. But go on. I want to hear you.
Well, AD's been right a lot, but occasionally AD will be wrong every now and then. It's occasionally.
My brother played 19 years also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hey, your dad, you were talking about him and the job that he got. He was like a CEO, you said, with Bell Howell?
CEO.
So I pulled up some old Bell Howell stuff. Now, I don't know if this was in Chicago. Did you ever go to this building here that they had?
Gosh, I don't remember it.
Yeah. But I didn't know what Bell Howell did. They make cameras and projectors. I didn't know any of that stuff right there. And so his tie to Hollywood and to California from a movie perspective or just a film perspective was interesting. But what was he doing? At the beginning, was he just selling projectors to different theaters all across the world? And how did that turn into something where you end up being a California kid and now you're ending up in Chicago all by yourself while he travels and keeps the family together?
He had back then, you'd play in the NFL and then you'd work a job in the off season, which the first 4 years of my career, 78 through 82, it was like that also. Guys would work another job. Nowadays it's full time all year.
In the 50s, he's making $5,000 or $8,000 a year,
he
right?
He had worked his way up. We moved, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8 times because he wanted to work his way up in the company fast. We were in California, then we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. Then we moved to a little town, Clinton, North Carolina. Then we moved to Washington, another town, which had another manufacturing plant. Then we went to Michigan, then to Wisconsin, then back to California, and then to California.
Chicago, and then Mom said it's too darn cold, we're leaving, and I'm taking the kids with me. So Dad goes back and forth, like he works one day through Thursday night,
something like that, yeah.
Friday, and then he flies home on the weekend and takes care. And then big houses have a lot of old houses too. You said 1910s or something like that. So a lot of squeaky door and flooring, and then the wind gets really loud when you're by yourself, right?
Well, no, I was thinking it would be a great event for me. Number one, the movie Risky Business had the idea of visitors, females. That wasn't going to fly for me at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Party
But
Central
I
wasn't.
was thinking I could eat whatever I wanted. I had a budget, unfortunately he didn't give me the car, so I had to walk everywhere, but
Oh
it
goodness.
was okay. Yeah.
Well, hey, your dad's career, obviously you're just a little weezer if you had even been born yet, but was that something that was important? Did your dad talk about that a lot, and did he kind of coach you and the rest of the family up during your little league years?
He not in the actual act of playing, but really more in how you approach the game and how you work at it. If you're physical, if you're dynamic, things like that. It wasn't like he took us out and go, hey, you can do this move or this or that. It really more or less preparing you for things that would work, far beyond football, that would work in anything. And very good that way. Also, I was thinking, which I didn't mention before, my grandfather, my dad's dad, was from Southern Ohio and was a baseball player. So he goes to the minor leagues. So he goes down to Charleston, South Carolina, and he's playing minor league baseball down there. And we have a paper where he allegedly outran the famous Ty Cobb.
Wow.
Down at a game in somewhere in South Carolina. And then my grandfather became the baseball and boxing coach at the Citadel in South Carolina. So we stretched, the family's tree this way. Now we'll stretch it back a little bit with my grandfather.
Well, didn't your dad, he ended up passing and living in South Carolina near the end of his life too, right?
Yes.
So that was home for him, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Broad Street in Charleston. For those who know Charleston, Broad goes right down the middle of it.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Clay, I want to ask you, wasn't your dad with the 49ers? You may have been too young to know, but wasn't he an offensive guard before he went to defense?
I don't think so. From what I
wasn't?
understand, he was always a defensive, either end or linebacker, more towards the end. Y.A. Tittle.
There
Was
he
a
is.
teammate of his.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, go over some of the teammates that your early 49er memory would include. It's got the all initial
Oh, my
backfield,
God.
really low backfield.
You had C.R. Roberts from SC. You had J.C. Owens. You had Y.A. Tittle. They call it the all John Henry Johnson, the all initial backfield. But when his dad was playing, they had
King.
Hall of Famers, NFL Hall of Famers playing for there. They had
You know who the King was?
Who?
The King? Hugh McElhaney.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was the King.
The University of Washington. I saw him play at University of Washington. He was a great player.
Yeah.
Well, you got that going for you, right? Your family, your dad, and then you end up going to SC. The 74 rookie season for you, right? You're a freshman there. Not a bad place to start, right? You were told you would go to 4 Rose Bowls, and you started out 1-for-1 that first one. What a great team that was.
Oh, yeah, 1-for-1. But our first game, we actually we went back to Arkansas and lost, I think. Or do I have the wrong year? We lost one game.
Your
first
freshman
game.
year. Yeah.
And then won all the rest. I'm almost sure it was Arkansas.
Well, I got a team photo here. You're in this one in the kind of middle, just right of where John is there in the middle of the
Number
page.
60.
Yeah. How'd you get 60? How come you be a linebacker? Were all the 50s taken
you
out?
know what? When I showed up there, they go, I don't think they asked. They just gave me a number.
You got to have a 50s number, right? And even a bad linebacker gets one in the 40s, but a 60, that's a guard.
Hey, wait, who was the guy on the Falcons? Tommy Nobis, wasn't he number 60?
Yeah, very good. Very good, Clay.
All right.
All right. Well, a good call there. But Tommy was also an All-American guard at Texas, so he was one of those two-way guys. You didn't have that same luxury to play on off. Did you do that in high school? Did you play a little offense?
Yeah. When I went to Chicago, they moved me to fullback.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see Batman Wood in the front row of that picture?
Yeah.
Brady.
He was.
Oh, wrong picture. I'll get it. There we go.
There's Batman right next to McKay.
I got immortalized by throwing a half effort. I'm not going to say the effort was there, but the talent wasn't. I just barely nudged a guy. And as I got up, Anthony Davis just blew by me. I'll never forget this. This was a situation where it was 24-6 at halftime.
Yep.
Do we agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah. So McKay, we go into the locker room at halftime, and McKay, when he talked, everybody listened. You better listen. So McKay goes, all right, I'm going to use a bad word. We're horseshit, gentlemen, horseshit. That's what McKay said. Here's what we're going to do, though. They're kicking off. AD, you're going to catch it and you're going to run it back for a touchdown. Now, me, the little freshman, was sitting there going, oh, coach, I think you're overreaching there. I'm not saying I knew, but I just thought it was, if we didn't return it for a touchdown, it might be a bad thing. So we kick it off. Back then, you could block low below the waist. So I had my guy coming down. So I dove at him, nudged him a little bit. And then just as I'm getting up off the ground, I start to hear this roar beginning. And as I'm getting up, all of a sudden, Anthony Davis goes right by me. And I'm getting up. I take off. I'm running. I'm probably end up 10 yards behind him. And all of a sudden, the stands, even though you can't tell, people are getting up. It was as if everybody was 10 feet tall and they were standing up. It went like this, and the noise went up, and we went down, and he scored, and then we had to kick off. Got the extra point. We kicked off, and one of our linebackers went down, dove over the pile, and made an incredible hit.
David Lewis.
Yeah.
David Lewis.
Right.
That play changed the game forever.
That's right. You were there, weren't you, Harper?
Yeah. Well, Bob was too. Bob, talk about that a little bit.
Hey, this is funny. I have to tell you this. I didn't say it when AD was on, but AD, they wrote a book on him, If My Nikes Could Talk, and the guy interviewed me. He wanted to talk to me about the book. So the guy, we were down at Bob's Big Boy. I'll never forget it. And the guy says, "So what was it like being at the game?" Now AD went nuts. I said, well, to tell you the truth, after AD ran back for the second half, it was like watching 90,000 people masturbate in sync. And now listen to this. I swear to God, you can ask AD. It's in the book. The guy put it in the book. Who would have? I thought it was a bunch of guys just talking. And the guy actually said that I said that, and it's in a book. So, but it was. I've never been in my life to any sporting event like that, where nobody sat down the second half. It was like the whole place was on. It was like you were elevated into heaven or something. I never saw anything like it. And I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to hundreds and hundreds of NFL games, college games. That's the most memorable football game I've ever been to. 28-6.
I'll never forget that either.
Oh, unbelievable. For the national championship, and Notre Dame had the best defense in the country. Yeah. And they scored 54 unanswered points, or whatever it was, 48 unanswered points.
55. Yeah. 55. Clay, I'm sorry, you were going to say something. David Lewis ends up making a tackle inside or right at about the 10-yard line on the following kickoff.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame couldn't do anything right for the next 30 minutes. And everything that SC
did. And I can't remember any of the football. All I remember is the stands, because when they kicked off, everybody was down, or they weren't that many people. But when he past me, it was like everybody was 10 feet tall. And when they stood up, it was like there were giants everywhere in the stadium. And that pace kept going. Normally you have something big and then it kind of ebbs a little bit. And then you have something big. This thing was like big, and things kept happening that kept the fire burning. The fire burned the whole second half.
Charlie Phillips intercepted that ball, pick six. Remember that? And they
Gosh, I don't even remember. I don't remember much after the kickoff.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one. Notre Dame goes 3 and out. They punt it. You get about a 12-yard return, which was just enough. And then they score, and it was Pat Hayden. J.K. McKay had a big game. Calvin Sweeney made some big plays. Anthony scores 3 or 4 touchdowns. He does the little dance on his knees after 2 or 3 of them. And Ara Parsegian at the end of the game. I don't know if you said hi to if you knew any Notre Dame guys or anything after that, but Ara Parsegian retires 2 or 3 days after that.
That's right. Gosh,
so,
I forgot that.
Yeah. He and McKay really weren't best friends. Let's put it that way. Not like what Bear Bryant was. They were great friends. Did you ever come into any contact with either of the two coaches, McKay or Bryant, and know that they were best of friends?
I knew it. I believe we played them. Gosh, I can't remember. Maybe it was our senior year. I can't remember if we won or lost.
Most of the games, it was the visitor that would always win. Did you go? Was it in the Coliseum?
It was my senior year. We lost. The next year, they went back there and beat them pretty good.
Yeah, in Birmingham.
Yeah. It was the option, though. It was, for an athlete like myself, always checking the dive was not fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you had to make sure the guy didn't have the ball before you would go to the quarterback. Then you had to make sure he didn't have the ball. Then eventually, in theory, you could go to the pitch man.
Yeah, but you hadn't worked out for that either. That was a surprise, right? They came out to California and they had run this wishbone offense all during their training camp and surprised everybody.
Huh.
That was back in the day. Hey, talk a little bit about the Notre Dame SC rivalry is going to end here shortly. This is the picture on the left. I believe that was your sophomore year. You go back to South Bend, or it might have been a year earlier. And then you played in the green jersey game when Dan Devine was there, right? Montana's a quarterback. And first and foremost, never been in that stadium. I know that tunnel is a little bit wider than any normal man's shoulders. There's not enough room, and both teams come out at the same time. They pulled the Trojan horse out. They had all this other stuff. I mean, what a great thing for college football. And the band was there, right? Yeah, the SC band was there, but tough going there for the Trojans in South Bend.
Yeah, I remember they came out and they had their normal, was it blue or gold jerseys? Probably the blue one. The ones on the left. And you looked at them and then you saw their socks. They had the green stripe. And I remember thinking, how tacky that is that you would have green stripes when the rest of the jersey was either gold or the blue. Of course, they put it to us pretty well.
So they go back in after warm-ups. They go into the locker room, and then could you tell was there a little buzz in the tunnel before or right after because you came out first, if I'm not mistaken, and then all of a sudden the crowd starts going, wait, what the, and they come out in the green jerseys, and they're dancing. They got guys that have never played and never will play, and they're bouncing up, and that was a big deal for them, right? And they ended up doing it a few times.
It was. I didn't really think different jerseys are going to help you win or lose a game, and I didn't think much of it. But about a quarter and a half later, they'd come out and played with a little tempo. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you get your national championship your freshman year, and then your senior year. Coach had left by that time, right? Was it
Yeah,
your junior year when he
McKay left after my second year and went to Tampa Bay. And
and
then
there was a pretty good SC team up until the time he makes that announcement. Then you lose to Washington State, Oregon State, 3 or 4 losses in a row.
yes, I think there were 4. I think we were like 7-0 and ended up whatever it was. It was bad. But I can't really remember too many good stories from that era.
Well, you had a chance for a national championship was what I was going to say. I remember Lynn Kane, one of your teammates there is it was his first year there. He goes, man, we're killing it. And then coach makes the announcement and he goes, I'm going to Tampa. And did you even go to the Blue Bonnet Bowl? I mean, I don't even remember where you guys went.
We're having a little interference here.
Okay, we're good now. I was just asking at the end of that sophomore year, you end up, you're 7-0, like you said at one point. You finished 7-4.
I
Blue
believe
Bonnet
so.
Bowl.
Yes.
I mean, Sun Bowl. I don't even remember where you guys went.
Gosh, I don't remember it either.
Yeah. All right. Well, great career there at SC. Talk a little bit about, now even your son probably went through this. What was your time like after that? And then you get ready for the combine, or they didn't even have one back then, did they?
No, it was in contrast to what they have now. It was entirely different. I would get a call and that, hey, this is somebody. I'm the linebacker coach with the something. Can you meet me out and we'll work out on the field? I go, yeah, what time? We go 10:30. I go, okay. So I'd go out, warm up, run a 40. He'd have me do some drills and then they'd usually want to talk to you a little bit. And I'd ask questions like, well, because I didn't know the NFL that much. I would say, well, where would you think about playing me? Who have you got playing? And I really didn't know where I was going to be drafted. I was hoping the San Diego Chargers had the 13th pick, and I was out here in California. I thought that would be ideal if I could slip up that high. And the Browns, at the time, you would just give them a number where you would be. So I had an apartment down at USC. My wife, who's a year older than me, was working. She came down to the apartment early in the morning. So we're sitting there at 6 a.m. or whatever it is. And I get a call. I'm like, will you hold for Art Modell of the Cleveland Browns? And I go, Cleveland Browns. And everybody, well, okay. We thought that was, that's how I got to be a Brown.
Just a couple of workouts. There's no ESPN coverage. You didn't get to wear a hat. You didn't get to parade and do a big man hug with the commissioner.
No, in fact, Cleveland is a great sports town. They love it. Sometimes they love it too much. And this was, so I talked to Mr. Modell at the time and, talked to him, talked to somebody else. We want to bring you in. And then they gave me to the press. They were thinking that they wanted either a running back or a wide receiver. And they go, well, we really hadn't thought about drafting you. And I go, well, I understand that, and they go, well, what about this? What about that? And it was rather negative, and I'm sitting there. Well, we thought we would draft this guy or that guy. I go, well, he's a good player. Yeah. And it went along for a while. And finally I go, well, I'm drafted here and I'm looking forward to making the best of it. And we'll go from there. And but I was talking to Bob the other day, and I ended up playing 16 years. So I like to think what I accomplished on the field endeared myself to Cleveland fans. I'd like to think I was a hardworking guy, made plays, but what may have won the day as far as the folks there was my wife had a 1974 Mercury Capri. It was a little two-door car. And so back then you would drive, most guys would drive to wherever they were playing. And when the season was over, they'd go home and work another job or finish school if that's what they were going to do. So I took the car back and thought, after a couple years, I said, I should just leave this car here and use it during the season, because I was going back, working a job. And I'm back there, and this car starts rusting, and it rusts out. And then somehow the press got a hold of it that I drive this old rusty car. Well, 2/3 of the people in Cleveland drive an old rusty car. So that probably endeared me more towards anyone for folks to like me in Cleveland than anything I did on the field. So that was, although I like to think I did a thing or two on the field, but
you did a couple things. Yeah. Being in the right place at the right time. Cleveland for, did any of your experience in Chicago? I'm not just weather, but, it's different than California, and you played in the warm weather your whole career, really collegiately. Was that going to be a determining factor for you? And did that become one, or did you just go, you know what, it's going to be cold and rainy, and we're going to take it to my advantage. And when it snows, it snows. When it's cold, it's cold. When it's hot, I'll just take advantage of all of it. I'm looking like this is going to be the place for me where it's going to be my home.
Yeah, you didn't think about your options, and you just went. And actually, I'd lived in Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, North Carolina. So I was used to the bad weather. And actually, we had a nice field in Cleveland. All those folks who could run real fast, it would slow them down a lot. So it was a good place for me. I enjoyed it.
Well, it wasn't too long after you get there, right? You're drafted in 78. And by the way, what was it? 35,000 was the base salary back in those days. No wonder you had to get an extra job, right?
Yeah, it was everybody. The last game, this is amazing. If you were eliminated from playoffs, you had no chance to get in there. You would have moved out of the apartment you had rented. You would have packed your car and you would have driven it down to the stadium for your last game. So you'd play your last game, win, lose, or draw, and then you'd get in your car and you'd drive home. We had guys going to Florida, Texas, California, and they'd either go back to school or they worked a job. It was different then.
Yeah. You had a trailer. You knew the guy had been around for a while when he's got a trailer and all his furniture is in that U-Haul behind him, and he's got a little bit of a minivan or a truck that he's going to take.
You could rent furniture, which I didn't even know at the time. Yeah.
Hey, Clay, didn't you say that your father quit the NFL because there wasn't enough money?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, he was working in Palo Alto up there, and he apparently was doing well enough in the off season that he decided, well, this isn't the best for me, which is a lot different than it is now. Yeah.
Look at the blood on Clay's pants. Look at the blood.
Yeah, it's from his elbow there. You see. No,
that was from the enemy.
Okay, you're right. It doesn't have to do with that cut that's on your arm right there. You're just rubbing it off. Red Right 88 was the first real big game that Cleveland had been in for a while. The history of the organization when you first get there, when you look at the Jim Brown era, Lou the Toe Groza,
Leroy Kelly,
the quarterback that number
Oh,
60,
gosh. Yeah.
Otto
autogram. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Paul Warfield.
It'd been a while, and then they call it the mistake at the lake, right? Where, but you realize that the team we're getting pretty good. You lose to a Raiders team that ends up winning the Super Bowl that year, but right place, right time in many respects. And could you start to see the tide turning there for Cleveland? And you got Brian Sipe as your quarterback. Ozzie was your tight end. They're putting this defense together piece by piece, and one after another. Some really good players were going through that locker room, weren't they?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think. 78, 79, 80 was Red Right 88. And then you move on from there. We had all the way through 90. I mean, we had one bad year, but for just shy of a decade, we were knocking on the door, several opportunities to get potentially to the Super Bowl or either the game right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shame.
Bernie comes in 84, 85. Gary Danielson was there. Ernest Mack. You had Ernest Biner, Kevin Mack, Webster Slaughter, Brian Brennan. You had Ozzie there for years. Mike Babb. I just a palindrome. Paul Farron, Marrow.
Yeah.
Chip was, former. Now you weren't teammates with Chip in college. Was he?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you were a few years beyond. Mike Johnson, Golick, Frank Minifield, Hanford Dixon. I mean, just some names that
very good players.
Yeah, all guys that could bring it together. And obviously, the Red Right 88 was the first one, and then you got this thing. Okay, I don't know where I found this one, but they're on the 2-yard line. You're in here somewhere. I think you're playing left end. You're over Clarence K. If I'm not. No, Clarence is it's a left formation, so you're over the tackle. You get a home game for the AFC Championship. It's cold. You got the Broncos. They're not going to be any problem for you at all. You got a barefooted kicker, for crying out loud. Give me your perspective on this one, okay? Fourth quarter, you're ahead by 7. You got the ball on the 2-yard line after a goofy messed up kick return. And
what was the score at this point? I don't recall.
2013.
One thing you learn, you seem to recall the good things, and the bad things, they fade a little bit.
Well, the next year you had the fumble in Denver, right?
Oh, I remember this too. He's at the 2-yard line.
Yep.
And he's a fantastic guy.
Ernest?
Ernest
Biner.
Ernest Biner. Yeah. You couldn't have a better teammate, better athlete that works hard. I remember I was on the other side of this watching him, and he was going in for the go-ahead touchdown, and
yeah, oops,
that was a tough one. Yeah.
And Denver got way ahead too. At halftime, it was like, oh my gosh, the score almost like the exact opposite, or no, very similar to what that SC Notre Dame game was your freshman year. They were so far ahead, but one touchdown after another, one possession after another. You guys got close on so many different occasions. Great experience there in Cleveland, right? It was amazing.
Oh, the experiences were great. The fans were great. From the first year when I didn't know where I was or what was really going on and what was Cleveland Browns football to, being there for 16 years, it's a shame we didn't win one, because it would have been so much magic. Even though there was a lot of magic we carried, it just couldn't get over the hump though.
Were there I would compare it to perhaps Green Bay, where because there are shares of the team, that there are individuals in the city of Green Bay and out throughout the state of Wisconsin that are kind of part owners. they take ownership, and it's a different vibe, if you will, from that standpoint. They didn't have an Art Modell, but Cleveland fans are diehard, love the team. Small group of folks. There's no one to the north unless you go to Canada, but just that lower portion of the river area, Lake Erie. They get the history of the game. They're one of the first franchises, of course, and their love and appreciation not only for the game but for their team compared to others. What were some of the things that you would notice about that very easily, that you really respect the Cleveland fans for their diehardness towards?
Well, if you look at the Great Migration, a ton of folks were moving out of the Cleveland had been a dynamo for business, manufacturing, and all, and then there had been a movement to the south, and the population was gradually shrinking, and if you stayed there, there was a saying, Cleveland, you got to be tough, and they were tough folks. They were there. A lot of people would pick up and say, I'm going to North Carolina, Tennessee, what have you. And they were tough. They paid their dues. They loved their team, and I think the most amazing thing is that they could recharge when so many bad things happen, and they'd get so close and then you'd lose. And even now I fall into the trap. I watch the Browns and they had this multitude of quarterbacks, and I go, well, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll do it, and it just, you keep believing in it. And one of these days it'll happen, hopefully.
Well, in terms of the city, right, they're great fans for baseball, but they've never won, right? The Indians had a chance in, what was it, 95 against the Braves here, oddly enough, in Atlanta, and you were here at that time. You're probably rooting for the Indians. And that 14-year run that the Braves had, where they won the division every year, and they only get one World Series. They went to 5, right? They lose quite a few, but they lost their hockey team, the Barons, if I remember correctly, probably at the time when you were there. But then, LeBron ends up getting a championship for him with the Cavaliers. Thank you, Cleveland, for finally getting something that they can celebrate.
Yeah. No, the people are the greatest assets back there. What was that? What? Oh gosh, it was there was a guy in Cleveland, and I had been there a couple of years, and I can't remember. It was something about, he was contrasting Los Angeles and Cleveland, and ironically, he gave me the phrase that talked about how Cleveland, was better. And I heard he moved to North Carolina.
Well, you had Sam Rutigliano when you first got there. One time, baby, one time. Then you had Marty.
He was a great coach.
You had Marty for a while, and then you end up with Belichick a little bit. The early Bill Belichick, he had come from the Giants and was with Bill Parcells, and obviously had won 2 Super Bowls in New York with the Giants, and then he comes there with you, right? And
Nick Saban. Nick Saban came with him. Yeah.
Nick Saban was there?
I
didn't know he was in the NFL. Nick Saban? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Big glasses. Nick wore the big aviator glasses back in those days.
I learned something today. I had no idea.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. There's a couple of pictures of him at Michigan State when he first started as a head coach, where he's wearing them. But I've seen him, and he and Belichick are both very good friends. Obviously, they had a great working relationship and off the field as well.
How about Belichick not making the Hall of Fame? I could not believe that.
Oh, I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really discredits the Hall of Fame to me,
Well, they're sending a message, Bob, aren't they? They're just saying, hey, you got to do it our way. We're not going to let you in the first time.
None of the reporters liked the guy, and I hear the guy wasn't the friendliest guy, but still, he was a great coach.
Yeah. What do you have to do?
Belichick comes to the Browns. So I've been playing. Okay, when I came into the NFL, it was 4-3 defense, and maybe they'd go to the nickel defense. They'd take one linebacker out, and you'd cover backs. So if you were good, you'd cover backs man to man. So Jack Ham with the Steelers was regarded as the best coverage guy probably there was. So I come in, go, oh, look at this Jack Ham guy. So I'm covering backs, and they're not catching balls, believe it or not, you know. That's because I would go jam them, you know. I didn't want to run with them. I'd jam them. But we're going with that. And then this guy comes into the league named Lawrence Taylor. So I'm looking at him going, well, shoot, I can do that stuff. You know, I can rush the passer. Plus, in football, you end up defensively in two positions, okay? You're either in a position where there's always two outcomes. It's either you can have a good outcome and then you can have a neutral outcome, okay? Or you can have a neutral outcome or you can have a bad outcome. Okay, when you covered somebody, if you did really well, jammed them, got them off their route, knocked the ball down, or the quarterback would look at the guy, he's not open, he throws somewhere else. That's either a bad situation or a neutral situation. If you did real well, no one notices. But if you did bad, everyone notices. He'd either catch the ball. When you rush the quarterback, there are two situations. You either get there, in which case you're the king for the day, or you don't get there, and the quarterback has time. They follow the ball down the field and go, wow, those DBs, they're not very good. So I'm thinking, look, I've been doing this. If I do my best, it's neutral. No one noticed me. If the guy catches a ball on me, then they're going to go, oh, Matthews can't cover. All right. And I figured out with rushing the passer, if I got to the quarterback, I was king for the day. If I didn't get there, they'd blame the DBs. That's how you extend your career.
You're thinking in between plays and filling in those gaps.
No, it's just a feeling you get. So yeah. Belichick comes to the Browns. So I wasn't really a guy who dictated what I was going to do, but I got to call this guy Belichick. So he's coming. I hear that he's coming out to USC. So I go down to USC and I go to meet him. And he's this dynamic guy. He had won the Super Bowls, but he was a coordinator on defense. Yeah. He hadn't won them as a coach. So I go to meet him and I'm at SC and he goes, he doesn't look at me, but he goes, yeah, I'm telling him, Coach, I look, I'm not demanding anything. All I want is the opportunity to rush the quarterback, and he's, we'll do this, we'll do that. I go, gosh, this guy is, kind of quasi-famous coming out of with the Giants. And, yet he isn't dynamic in dealing with people. And he actually let me rush. And, for about, I think for a year, I led the team in sacks. And then the next year, well, we're going to do this or do that or what have you, and that was the way it was.
Well, you're not Lawrence Taylor, but you were a version of that, because at the linebacker position, you just said, I can cover just about anybody, especially a back coming out, and I can get to the quarterback. I led the team in sacks. Isn't that exactly what he would want?
Yeah, but you would want to get a lot of sacks.
Hey, Harper,
be the best.
Harper, let me ask you a question. There's never been another linebacker to play 19 years, has there?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah. I mean, are there, Clay? Is there who's
I don't know.
I don't think there ever. The only thing I've ever heard is his brother, offensive lineman, and kickers like George Bland and those people. But a linebacker, 19 years, unbelievable.
There are a few kickers. You played with one, Matt Barr, right? He was in the 20s or 23, 24.
Was he?
Yeah.
I know Morton was.
Morton was 25. And Brady was 20.
How Morton lasts 25 years without alienating thousands of people.
Let me get rid of the screen. Okay, Bob, we have to tell the story.
Anderson.
So Morton Anderson, who is right, he's a Hall of Famer for crying out loud. And we kind of tease, Clay and I do, in that when it comes to physical contact, Morton would be off the field. He'd be running towards the sideline. Now he could kick the ball through the back of the end zone from any place, any time.
Yeah.
Even though he's getting a little longer in tooth, but his accuracy and all that, absolutely all the respect in the world. But on some kickoffs, when the ball goes to about the 2-yard line or maybe 2 yards in, and they're going to return it, you can see Morton on film. All the players are running down the field except for Morton. He's going parallel with the lines, and he's going straight towards the sideline. It was almost as if that there were only 10 players on the field on the kickoff coverage.
That's hilarious.
A lot of guys. So we ended up. He would kick field goals, and we wanted a situation where they had to rush onto the field, and trying to make it like a game situation where you've only got a few seconds left. He would run on. And so I started saying all kind of unusual things, some of them not so nice, all about Anderson because we wanted him to miss.
You were heckling him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm heckling him, and he's a dynamic player. You think people would say, leave him alone, and he comes over, and I'm thinking, what's he going to say? And he goes, hey, I'm glad you did that. It really forces me to focus. Yeah. And it was like the guy you go, okay, I like this guy,
Yeah.
And then from then on, we said all kind of ugly things. Yeah.
It kind of teamed up. There were times in practice, Bob, we have special teams, and our coach Frank Gans would say, 12 seconds, the clock is ticking, ball at the 37-yard line, it's on the left hash. So our equipment guy would have to run to the 37-yard line, put the ball down there, and then I would snap, and Clay was on the other side on the defensive aspect where he's on field goal block, and he was talking a little trash towards Morton, saying some things to try to get him out of his mojo, and sometimes it would work, but Morton was a Hall of Famer for a reason, because he would take stuff like that and go, that's the least of it.
If anything, he said, if anything, it made him better.
Yeah,
which I thought was an outstanding way to approach it.
The way to earn a man's respect.
What about the freeze? What about when they call timeout? Did that make him better right before the kick?
I don't know about that.
It depends on the kicker, Bob. Sometimes that will make a guy mad. Really? You called it? I was just getting ready to approach the ball, and then it would do the exact opposite. It would laser focus them even more. But Morton had his little thing. We played the Hall of Fame game, Clay, your first year in Atlanta. I think we played the Chargers. And so we're in Canton, and it's the week of the celebration and everything like that. We were the game, Falcons and Chargers. And we were going to go out to eat, just get a bite. Morton said, no. Every time when we go on the road, at this time, after we get to our room, you go do whatever you want to do. I'm going to go into my mental exercises that I do to put me in the right state of mind. So he would practice and rehearse what he would do on different situations from this side of the field, from that side of the field, if the ball's at the 10-yard line or the 50, and it would take him about an hour. And then he would catch up to the rest of us. But that was something that I noticed he did that very few people that I know of would ever go to that length. Clay, you never spent a whole hour mentally approaching. You just go play.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Can I ask Clay a question?
Certainly.
It's not about just a question that's always been on my mind, and it'd be nice to ask you right now. As a fan, one of the greatest miracles I've ever seen is watching your son, Clay Jr., okay, as a fan. Now, let me ask you, as a father, when he was in high school, did you ever have any idea that this kid would be like a future Hall of Famer? Did that ever enter your mind? And I want you to be honest. Did you ever really think that? Even when he was a walk-on at SC, did that ever enter your mind?
Now, I had been a late bloomer too. So
Really?
even though he's, what did he weigh? I'm trying to remember now.
In high school, you told me once he was 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
that was his senior year.
Yeah.
And then you go like 150. Yeah, when he was a freshman, he might have been like 110 or 110, something like that.
Wow.
And he, you know, I figured he would grow into himself, and you know, I really couldn't play him at first because almost everybody else was bigger and stronger, and I felt bad about it. And my wife Leslie Clay said you didn't play him, you know. Les, I can't play him. He's not the best guy, you know. And so we went and we started working out, you know, and to his credit, he worked out, but, you know, kind of half-hearted. Then the second year, he started working out, and he started working out hard. Then he started making plays in high school. So then we're looking to he said he wants an opportunity. And I'm saying, well, you know, whatever you want to do. And he goes, yeah, I want to play college football. That's my goal. And I go, okay. And he goes, well, where do you want to play at? And he goes, we went to some different schools. He said, I'd like to play at SC. And I'm thinking, this is the Pete Carroll era, you know, the height of it. And I'm thinking, oh goodness. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Let's, you know, if that's what you want to do, you got to train. So he's training and working, and he goes down there, and he's a freshman. And I said, look, here's the only thing we're going to do that's going to be different from anybody else. You're going to redshirt, which they don't. You've come down there. You're not going to play because you want 5 years to play. You're a late bloomer. You know, your first year, year two, not only were you skinny and gangly and slow, but you were slow. Yeah. And so I said, they're going to offer to put you in the game because they're going to be ahead 42-7 or something. And anybody who works out and plays is going to get into the game. And I go, it's going to be tough to do that because the coach is going to say, hey, Clay, you want to get in the game? And you're going to feel, no, I want a red shirt. And then the coach, you're going to feel the coach is going to think you really don't want to get in the game. In other words, the coach might think, dude, if you're looking to redshirt, you could be here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You're probably not going to play very much. And that was the gamble that we took. And then the next year, I'll never forget it. There was a running back who was coaching running backs who had played with my brother with the Houston Oilers. And he comes up to me. They had, this was about the 4th week of training camp. And he goes, hey, Clay, come here. And I go, what? And he goes, you know, your kid, I like what he does. He's fast, he's long, you know, and I'm going to put him on kickoff team. I'll never forget this. I could have hugged and kissed the guy, you know, because here's a guy who's going to take a chance on your kid. Okay. So he's going to be on the kickoff team. Didn't play any the first year, had to turn him down every time they asked, you want to go in? You want to go in? And, you know, that was tough to do. So then he starts off on the kickoff, and he's the first guy down every time. You know, so he'd go down there. When you're the first guy, you're not going to make the plays because they're going to defend you. And run into 3 or 4 guys, blow it up. Somebody else would make the play, the tackle. Then, about 3 weeks later, they go, I'm going to put him on punt team. And all of a sudden he's making plays there. Then I'm going to put him on this team. And by the end of the year, he was on every special team. Still gangly, still, but he was going 100%. Then the next year, they put him on, and he's doing all that. And then all of a sudden, somebody got hurt, and they put him in the game, and he's making plays. So now they got to put him in the game because he's making plays. It took him to the 5th game of his 5th year before they finally started him. And he did nothing but make plays, and ended up being the 23rd pick in the first round,
Jeez, what a story that is. What a story.
Yeah, it was a good story.
What about Casey? Did you think he was he was a small kid, right?
Yeah, he was smaller, and we didn't want to go through the thing Clay had to go through at SC. So he went to Oregon, and same type of story. Goes up there, and I'm figuring, well, it'll take 2 or 3 years, So I go, just keep working hard. And he goes up there, and so the first home game, we go to see it, and my wife is Leslie is sitting next to me, and I watch the football game. I watch him. I watch the coaches. So I see the coaches talking to him. And I'm like, why is he talking to him? He hasn't done anything yet, And he goes, they're going to put him in, And so she's not looking. And all of a sudden they kick off, they kick off, and the defense goes on. So he's running onto the field. He's a freshman now. This is the first, 3 or 4 weeks. And I say, hey, your son's in the game. Where? And he goes in, and first, second play, he goes in, gets somebody around the leg, drags him down, makes another play. And then they put the senior back in, and then he just started playing, and the senior got hurt. He ended up starting the whole year. I was thinking, okay, here we go with Clay. He'll probably redshirt a year, probably won't get to play, probably be on special teams a year or 2, and then, get to play. And he ended up playing from his freshman year, first home game on.
Yeah, I have a vivid memory, which I'm going to ask Clay if he still has this. I used to go before the games at SC, I'd tailgate with the former players that they called the TFAC thing down there at the Peristyle Inn. And they're playing Oregon, and I'll never forget, you walked in with a jersey that was half Trojan and half Oregon. Do you remember that? It was you had a jersey on that was half green and half red, and it was you don't remember that? I wonder if you still have it.
I think I would have walked in with a half Oregon one. Yeah. Gosh, can't remember that.
Yeah. Bob, I got a quick story that, if you don't mind me sharing. When we were with the Falcons, Clay joined Atlanta for the last 3 years of his career, and Jerry Glanville had began a little tradition where Saturday practices were really kind of family friendly, and you could bring your kids in. A lot of times the wife would be able to come, and June allowed for that too. When June was the head coach for the 3 years that he was in Atlanta, not so much the wives, they could be there, but not come in the locker room, but the kids could, and they'd run around and have some fun. And usually when the weather was bad, a guy named Craig Campanosi would get these trash bags, these big, gigantic, hefty bags, and he cut holes in them so the kids could put their head and arms through it, kind of like a bad Charlie Brown Halloween costume. And we had this little hill, and when it was wet, you'd slide down the Bermuda grass, and the kids would just have, they'd be covered in Bermuda and dirty, and just having the time of their lives. The problem, Bob, was some of the rookies would have to bring in donuts and orange juice and stuff for the players to nibble on while they were going through meetings. We'd have a special teams meeting at 8:30. Then we'd watch film. Then for about 10 o'clock, we'd go out onto the field for about a half hour. We'd have a walkthrough. Well, wouldn't you know it, Bob, that their donuts, by the time everybody had watched film, were all gone. There's no more donuts. And so every hungry player is going, what the heck? Rookie, what's your problem? I bought you 24 donuts, guys. What are you talking about? I brought all these donuts in, but there weren't any left over until you looked at the Matthews kids. You had Kyle, you had Brian, you had Casey, you had Clay, and they all had sugar just in the face. And they said, we don't know what happened either. We don't know where all the donuts went, right? But those were the good old days.
Allegedly.
All the little Weezers. Yeah, no one had 5 kids. Jennifer, of course, she could have come, but probably was with.
Hey, Clay, didn't you have a son that played at Westlake High School for Jim Benkert?
Yeah.
Wes, right?
That was Wes? Kyle. Kyle played at SC too.
Oh yeah.
He had the fortune or misfortune of playing behind Froy Polamalu, talented defensive back, safety.
Yeah. You're not taking Troy out of a ball game, are you?
No.
You would not keep your job very long if you took Troy out. Well, Atlanta's the end of your career. Now, you played against Bruce a couple times. You played with Mike Kent a couple times. But I have to ask you, Clay, it was pretty cool. Your last play as a professional was a sack. You got Mark Brunell down on the ground. We end up losing that doggone game, and June gets fired the next day. But pretty good time, great career. Obviously, you ended on a right note. 69.5 sacks. You had, 1,595 tackles. Pretty good career. Go ahead. Tell me.
Actually, 85 sacks, because before a certain point, sacks were not officially recorded.
Yeah, that's
right. Sorry.
The 78, when did they do it? 80, 81?
I don't know. I just know it.
I remember when they did
not become an official stat until some year, 80 something.
Right. Like Deacon Jones' stats don't recall all of his sacks. He had a lot of sacks that are not even recorded.
Oh yeah, he would have had a ton of them. Yeah.
Did they count head slaps too? Did he have? He led the league in head slaps too, didn't he?
Oh my God!
They didn't outlaw that, did they? The head slap. I have not heard that term in 25 years.
Yeah. Well, you were a little bit of a prankster. Did you ever take the metal portion of your chin strap and
absolutely
hit somebody over the head with that?
That's why a lot of guys' ears ring at the say.
Yeah. Forget CTE. There's nothing that hurt like that. Go ahead, Bob.
Look at his arms in that picture. Are you kidding me? Guys.
Well, I'm wondering who gave the ball up to him, Clay. I've got a couple shots of you with the football in your hand. You had one touchdown? Is that right? Couple of 16 interceptions, though. You knew where to find the ball. That was a question. I'm asking.
Oh, I did not hear that.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not sure if our sound is still bad.
No, you're good.
Anything you miss other than going to a Super Bowl? I mean, you didn't get to do any of that, but you got to play in some AFC Championship games, obviously. And
yeah,
I remember asking you once. I said, Clay, with all the years that you played, you must have 1,000. You have at least 100 close friends that you have maintained relationships over the years. And you said, my good man, my father always told me, if I have more than one person that you could say is a close friend on my hand, if I had more than one finger up in the air saying that, you can consider yourself a lucky man.
Yes. And I think it was if you were in a bind and you'd call someone, if you had one person who would come to help you out, you would consider yourself a lucky man.
Yeah, there you go.
Same thing you said.
Yeah, right. Well, the trilogy here is for your father, you, and then your son, and you had the same thing on Bruce's side, right? Pretty lucky, and Kyle and obviously Casey, with their football careers, didn't get as far as Clay the third did, but you know what? Applaud to all of them, right? What an amazing legacy that now the pressure's on Clay the third to have a Clay the fourth and have him good enough to be able to play in the National Football League. Pressure's on.
Hey, how many sons did Bruce have? More than one son that played in the NFL, or just the one?
He had 3
that played in the NFL?
Jake, who's played, I think, 11, 12 years.
Unbelievable.
Kevin, who was a center, I believe, or a guard, and then oh gosh,
That's a great. Now
Uncle
that is a great
Uncle
picture.
Clay is going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Where'd you find that picture, Harper, on the internet? That's a great.
Yeah. I got a couple of things here. How about this one? Look at the guys on the right, Bob. I mean, clean cut, young, strapping, and they're playing on the same team there in the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. You got to do that a few times, right? You were a 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yes.
Look how much bigger Bruce is than Clay. That's unbelievable.
He's standing on his tiptoes. It's clear if your picture doesn't show it, but mine does.
And think about that, playing in the Pro Bowl together on the same team as brothers. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What was
no? That was when it was real. You actually tackled
real football. That's right. No flag football. It was real.
Now they have. I don't even know what they do.
That's like flag football.
No, they play flag now. That's flag football. Hey, when you guys were growing up, was Bruce a better basketball, baseball? What could he do that challenged you to not have to invoke your super big brother powers?
He was 5 years younger, so and then I had twin brothers who were in between him and me. Okay. So usually we were. I was a fan of his. He didn't really, what's the word? I didn't compete with him, Now my sister, no, it was far enough apart that the competition wasn't there. Well, it was more or less I looked out for him.
By the time he's done at SC, you guys have Thanksgiving or whatever family, get-togethers, and there's a little, especially with the kids, right? There's a little outdoor turkey bowl football and maybe some baseball or wiffle ball games, right? You guys got together.
Yeah, baseball and wiffle ball usually. But it wasn't that heartfelt competition. It was just actually I wanted him to do well, and then never really felt envious of him. Except the last 5 years when he made no, everything's good.
No, well, he got to play an extra. You both played 19, so obviously you start, and your career is over, and you're you're at home watching, and he's still out on the field playing.
I think we went to his last game. I remember that they got down on the goal line and came up. It was a playoff, and the guy got tackled at the 1, which would have been the winning score.
Oh, the Super Bowl game?
No, it wasn't a Super Bowl, I don't think. I think it was moving on, perhaps. I don't recall.
Hey, Harper, what would be great? Now think about this. To figure out, I wasn't a math major, but to figure out how many years the Matthews clan had in the NFL, from the father to Clay to Bruce to their kids to.
I was going to say I'll write it down, and then I realized some of the Bruce Matthews boys would require a little investigation.
But there's got to be 100 years in the NFL, I would think.
It's well over 50. I'm thinking probably 65. It would be my first guess if I were on Family Feud and needed to, come up with
his brother. He and his brother are 38. The father's 5. That's 43. And then the kids, are you kidding? The 111,
63, 70. So yeah, you're in the low to mid 70s already. Yeah. So my guess is like Clay's on Family Feud, when they're in the bonus round.
I mean, that is really an amazing thing to think about. Unbelievable.
I know. Yeah. Maybe the Jumpy Gathers family, the Gathers are pretty close.
Oh, you gave me his number.
I know.
I haven't called him yet.
You still haven't called him? Oh my gosh. I can't help it. I can't do anything more than what I do. I can't. Unbelievable. Clay, tell us what you're doing now. Obviously, you've coached.
I ended up coaching, which was delightful. I was defensive coordinator. We ended up winning state championship, if you
Was that
will.
for Bill? Was that when Bill Riddell was the coach?
Bill Riddell, yes.
He's my buddy.
Yeah.
He's my buddy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I coached at Agora. I started off at Westlake High and coached for 3 years, my oldest son. Then went to Agora for 4 years, I think. And then I was at Oaks for, I'm going to say 6 years. And I might be off a year there.
What's the fun part of that for you? Is that throwing your clipboard and your headset and your hat all at the same time and still being able to whistle?
I always felt you have to be demanding, but you need to balance it with humor. So usually sniping at my own players was the best, making fun of them, joking. I think they kind of liked it when you pick on them a little bit, because I think they knew you wanted them to do well. And then you also need to show that there's a human side,
Hey, Clay, you know what? I'm always kidding Bill Riddell. I said, Bill, you weren't shit as a coach. I said, you had Clay Matthews as an assistant. You had Mike Sherrod, NFL wide receiver coaching the receivers. You had Joe Montana helping the quarterbacks. You had all these, and another NFL quarterback you had there.
Yeah.
He had like 5 NFL guys and a high school coach as his assistants. I said,
no, those were good days. I enjoyed it. The funny thing was that one of my boys Clay had gone to Agora and it worked out well. An older boy went there, and grade-wise, he just got behind and got in trouble, and it took a couple months to get everything back up and running. So that worked out fine. So Casey comes along, my little baby, and I go, I don't know if I really didn't, I had never been a private school guy, had never gone to one, and then I said, well, maybe we need somebody to keep an eye on him, and so and I was thinking, oh, Oaks, it's like private school, little league football. It won't be good there. I had no idea how good it was, and it ended up being a great experience for me.
One of the things that I had fun, you talked about having fun with the kids. When I was coaching at my old high school for a year or two, I got to coach my brother. That was a lot of fun for me. And it was middle of the year, but you needed to get a message through. Actually, it wasn't. It was during 2 days. Please forgive me. And I'm asking the guys, all right, well, who's going to be the one to take little Susie out to the homecoming dance? And you could see their faces. They all kind of got real nervous because none of them had asked a girl out before. These are just freshmen. And you get a little moment with them. Okay, here's what you do, guys. Okay, I don't care if she's got 20 people around. You walk right up to her and you just say hi and you introduce yourself. And that's how you begin a relationship with somebody. And just be kind, right? Or just little things. And they absorb the good portions of what that is. And then you have the ability to kind of coach them and correct them. I've said it this way, Clay, I don't care who you are. If you don't show me that you love me as a coach, that you want me to be successful, that you don't want you don't want me to improve, I'll know it. And I won't react the same way. But if I know you do love me and care about me and want me to improve and be successful, you can yell at me. I don't like it, but you have my permission to get me better and to push me to different levels. Is that any portion of that true with what you experienced from a coaching or a?
I do remember there was somebody came and said, this fellow likes this girl, but he won't talk to her. So we were walking out to practice, and the guy was with us, and we saw the girl walking there. So I can't remember her name, but I took it upon myself I go, hey, let's say his name was Bill. I go, Bill, come here. So he walks over and the girl's there, and I go, the girl, this is Bill. I go, look, Bill wants to go to the prom with you or whatever it was.
Oh, you said Bill. Wow.
He wants to go out, he goes, but he's a little nervous to ask you. Now, why am I talking here? I go, because I need Bill to focus on what is on the field during football. And if he's thinking about you all the time, it's not going to work. So if you can tell him that, yes, we can go out or whatever, I forgot it was, then that makes it better for me. And that's why I'm here. I can't, and he's just sitting there turning red and everybody's, laughing and all, but you do that kind of stuff and you definitely bust somebody's chops and they, and make it clear you're not trying to put them down, know? So
yeah.
I can't remember if he ever got the date though. Yeah.
You did everything you could to set it up. I mean, what more can you do, right? You do everything you possibly can. Bob, it's been great to have Clay on for obvious reasons. We could go on for hours and hours, but you have any final thoughts here before we head out?
Me?
Bob. Yeah, Bob.
No, Bob. Yeah.
A real walk through history just to listen to Clay's, from his father to his kids to, just the whole, and what a great family man he is. And you're just a stand-up guy, Clay. And it's just been an honor you don't see that many in 2026, believe me. And it's just been an honor to have you on the phone. In every aspect of your life, you've been a success. And I'm proud to know you and call you a friend. And thanks a million for making this show.
Well, it was my pleasure. I've been talking to Harper about doing this, and I'm glad we finally got it done.
You know what he did? Hey, Clay, just like you with the broad, with a kid, the student.
Yeah.
Harper wouldn't put the full court press on you, so that's why I came in. Because
hey, you got a break.
Harper kept saying, "Well, I was his teammate." I said, "Well, ask him to come on." Well, it took me to do it.
Did I mess up something here?
No, Clay's refused me for years, Bob. Absolutely years. He wants nothing to do with. I did get him on the radio when I was working at 92.9 and got him on the air for a little while.
What a great guest, Clay. You've been a great guest. Thank you.
Well, it was my pleasure. I enjoyed it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Clay Matthews, this is the second, right? His father played, he played, his son has played, his other son has played, his brother has played, his sons have played. The National Football League and collegiate football, obviously, much better with him. He's a national champion. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's in the Cleveland Browns Hall of Fame, and we are grateful that he is a part of our show here at 100 Yards of Football. So for Bob Case, I'm Harper LeBel, saying thank you to Clay Matthews for being a part of the Sports Page with Bob Case. We appreciate Clay being a part of the show. If you liked it, please subscribe, tell a friend, and in the meanwhile,